I'm driving in my car, the road is long and full of dust. The landscape changes around me, on and on, I feel I must. Whatever happened to me, happened for my highest good. I read that in so many books, now it's almost understood. I'm moving on and on. On and on, I'm moving on and on, on and on. Leaving all my worries, I prepare for something new. Whatever it was that held me back, I'm sure it wasn't true. Holding on too long and unresolved questions hold you down. What could have been a friendly smile has turned into a frown. I'm moving on and on, on and on. I'm moving on and on.
Morning, photogs and friends. It is a lovely morning down here at West Wharf in Madison, Connecticut. And we have some nice pink clouds, beautiful teal blue skies. We have an incoming tide, Tuxas Island right out here, lovely rocks. And we are going to discuss foreground photography. We're going to discuss some of the elements we can use around us. We have these beautiful rocks with leading lines. We have our incoming tide, our waves. And we're just going to go over some of these elements, how we may use them to make more three-dimensional photographs in two-dimensional video. Time and again I realize I have an idea in mind when I get to a site and it never works out that way. The elements are doing their thing. Nature is giving you surprise after surprise, and I find time and again that I have to adapt. I just have to keep myself open, adapt to the conditions, and just run with it. That happened again this morning. I was really rushing, fighting the light. Things were moving so quickly, the sun was rising so quickly, colors were changing, beautiful waves. I don't know, in my rush to try and set everything up and sort of capture the moments as they were unfolding, I was anxious. And I feel like I missed a lot. I hope I have a few photographs to share with you this beautiful morning. When the sun gets a little higher, it will start to radiate on these rocks here. And I can work on a few foreground elements. But for now, we're going to try and use the ocean and the waves coming in from the incoming tide, and we're going to use that as our foreground, some of the outcrops and the rocks. So using foreground elements, these rocks right here are just gorgeous. There are many attributes you can look for to try and frame your images. For example, in these rocks here we have contrasting colors. So there's these nice orange tones in the rock. So between textures, contrasting colors, leading lines, there are many elements to work with when you're framing a foreground. Okay, so for this composition, as you can see, my entire background is blown out, so I'm going to have to bracket for this. I'm sitting at ISO 100, f11, and my focus point is going to be right here in this foreground, about a third into the image. I really want to focus for these rocks, so that's what I want to get sharp. So we'll go ahead. I've already composed my shot, as I said earlier, by moving my camera around off the tripod, really try and find an image and a composition that I like, and then go for it. And in this case, right in this area, right here are those are the orange tones that I mentioned, and the sun is coming down and radiating them a little bit now, and we're getting some highlights from the sun right up in this general area here. I'm hoping to pull some of them out, and of course some of these textures. But I'm also using some of these lines in a diagonal pattern, and you can't see it here, but let me stop down. You can also see some lines coming down on the clouds here, and I'm hoping to pull them in with my bracketed shot. So let me get my shot set for this. I'm not worrying about the highlights here because this is a bracketed shot. I'm exposing for the rocks, and I know my histogram is showing me the data right here for these rocks. This right here is obviously the sky. I'm not worried about that right now. Focus on my rocks, and in this case, shot for 2 seconds for now. All right. And now we'll go in, we'll check and see if my image is sharp. So these look pretty good. So now we'll go ahead and we will stop down our shutter speed. I'm going to stay at f11. And now my histogram, I'm going to focus on the right side and make sure I'm not overexposing. I'm not so much concerned now about the left side of the histogram. That's all the foreground data, which again is not really of a concern right now. We're really concerned with up here in the sky. I'm also going to put my focus point in this area right here and focus for the background now. Make an image. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to see if that's nice and sharp. Okay. Now, as far as the sun goes, we could play a little if I want to bring in more of the shape of the sun. But if we wanted to, we can definitely play with some settings and try and shape that sun a little bit more. In particular, we can stop down on our shutter and we can even play with our aperture, but in this case, I'm just going to take a quick image at about 1/800th of a second, just so I have it. And if I want to use it later, I can use that instead of the other image. It's actually pretty nice. So we'll see what happens in post when I put them together. So this morning was just a smorgasbord of lovely images, a lovely morning, and plenty of surprises. Just feel the place you're in, just be in that space. See what nature's given you, work with it, and then go from there. I was looking to create images with lots of depth, that three-dimensional feel to it, just pull the viewer right into the image. And essentially I did that, but I also found myself doing abstracts and doing some stuff with the incoming tide. And again, just being open and changing to the conditions around you. And as I always say, go with that feeling you have, you know? It's like, you know, there's a feeling you get that shouldn't be ignored. And those are the moments that you just need to seize, just need to just embrace it and just go with it. And you'll find that some of your best images will be made during those times. So I hope I have some images to share with you today, something that I can share that will be inspirational, that will give you some ideas, and maybe help your photography on your next adventure to the shoreline. I think it's time to go get some breakfast. There's a place right up the street here, Christie's, and look forward to a nice cup of coffee, nice hearty breakfast. Just enjoy the rest of this morning. Then 40 minutes back home, start working on this video.
Call me out, tiger. Call me out, why don't you love? Lift me up higher above the clouds, won't you love? When the scenery is right, go right in. I wanna fall deep within. Don't leave me hanging just 'cause I'm too proud. Whisper away my outdated doubts. Somebody do me the courtesy, dress me down. I'm not that old yet, I'm far too young to not stand my ground.